Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on this absolutely wild paradox that's happening right now in enterprise tech. We're pulling data directly from Deloitte's Tech Trends Report, Stanford's AI Index, and insights from some of the top leaders in the industry to solve a really huge mystery. So here's what's going on. Corporate AI computing bills are skyrocketing. I mean, they're hitting just unprecedented levels. But at the exact same time, the actual raw cost of processing artificial intelligence is plummeting. It's getting cheaper, but bills are getting way bigger. So why exactly is this happening? Why do AI inference costs explode like this? And maybe more importantly, how are the smartest organizations out there completely re-architecting their infrastructure so they can actually survive it? Let's dive in and find out. Okay, let's dive right into this. Because to grasp this massive contradiction, we've got to look at the hard data. If you check out Stanford's AI Index, the raw cost of AI processing, and here we're specifically talking about token costs, has plummeted by a staggering 280-fold since 2022. I mean, the tech is getting exponentially cheaper to run, literally by the day. But then, on the flip side, Deloitte's research shows us that organizations are getting hit with these absolute budget-busting cloud bills. We're talking about companies racking up monthly AI expenditures in the tens of millions of dollars. So the underlying tech is cheaper than it's ever been, yet companies are somehow paying more than ever. It's crazy, right? Well, the answer to that mystery comes down to one honestly mind-bending number, 792,000%. Yep, you heard that right. That is the explosion in AI usage we've seen recently. This glaring gap between falling prices and rising bills, it's driven entirely by the fact that consumption is just completely overwhelmingly outpacing those rapid cost reductions. As Deloitte points out, the math here is pretty stark. I mean, when your usage grows by hundreds of thousands of percent, a 280-fold drop in price simply isn't going to be enough to save your budget. The sheer massive volume of AI activity is basically eating every single dollar of savings and then some. Now, to truly get why AI inference costs explode like this, we first need to get on the same page about what we mean when we say inference. Essentially, inference is the act of using an AI model out in a real-world process. We are not talking about the training phase here. That stuff happens behind closed doors at these massive AI labs and takes months. No, inference is what happens when, say, a customer service bot generates text, or an autonomous system makes a split-second decision, or a tool analyzes a massive spreadsheet of your company's data. Think of inference like the meter in a taxi. Every single time your AI does something out in the real world, the meter clicks. And right now, that meter is basically running at light speed. And the reason that usage is exploding is because of what Deloitte calls the compounding innovation flywheel. Now, Deloitte has been tracking tech trends for 17 years, but they made a point to say that this year is entirely different. We aren't just seeing additive changes anymore. These forces are multiplicative. It works like this. Better technology breeds more applications, which instantly sucks in more data. Then all that data attracts tons of cash and investment for better infrastructure. That slashes costs, which of course instantly triggers way more experimentation. It's this continuous loop where every single improvement simultaneously accelerates all the others, and it's driving usage completely off the charts. Plus, the sheer speed of this flywheel is unlike anything we've ever seen in human history. Just to put this into perspective for a second, the telephone? It took 50 years to reach 50 million users. The internet took 7 years to do that. But today, one leading generative AI tool hit over 800 million weekly users. Guys, that's literally 1/10 of humanity using this technology every single week. It's wild. We're not even looking at a traditional S-curve of adoption anymore. It's practically a vertical line. This unbelievable scale is compressing what used to take years of technology adoption down to just months. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the reality check it gives us on all that agent AI hype we keep hearing about. While everybody online is talking about autonomous agents running the world, the actual on-the-ground adoption data tells a very different story. Look at this. 38% of organizations are busy running pilots, and a full 51% are just sort of exploring, or they honestly have no strategy at all. A tiny 11% of companies have actually managed to get AI agents fully operational in real production environments. So yeah, there's a massive canyon right now between the exploratory hype of AI and actual real-world value-driving implementation. So why are all these pilots failing to launch? Well, Bill Briggs, the chief technology officer over at Deloitte, really hit the nail on the head with this one. He says, if you just take your existing workflow and try to apply advanced AI to it, you're going to weaponize inefficiency. Weaponize inefficiency. That's such a great way to put it. And it's the #1 reason these implementations stall out and costs just explode. Companies are out there trying to jam these highly advanced AI agents into old, clunky, human-designed processes.
They're basically automating broken workflows instead of taking a step back and redesigning the work itself.
And here is the kicker. When you weaponize that inefficiency using AI agents, your costs go totally super critical. See, unlike a simple chatbot where, a human types a prompt, gets one answer, and that's it, true AI agents operate autonomously. They plan out tasks, they execute them, they even talk to other agents. And all of that requires what we call continuous inference. They are constantly processing, constantly hitting the API to think about their next move. So if you have a broken workflow, your AI agents are just going to spin their wheels in a continuous loop. They are literally burning through your budget at machine speed, sending those token costs spiraling completely out of control.
This explosion in inference costs is basically forcing the industry into a total rethink of where AI should actually live. For a long time, the public cloud was the ultimate IT easy button for getting started quickly. But as AI and cloud thought leader David Linthicum points out here, relying on that easy button for these continuous AI workloads can actually turn into a massive financial trap. If you just default to using the public cloud for continuous, high-volume AI inference, that taxi meter we talked about, it just runs way too fast. It's no longer a game of just tossing everything into the cloud. It's about being strategic and picking the absolute right tool for the job if you want to keep your business profitable.
What we are witnessing right now is nothing short of a total infrastructure reckoning. Enterprises are looking at their legacy, general-purpose brownfield data centers, the ones built with raised floors and traditional CPUs made for the cloud era, and they're realizing these places simply can't handle the heat, literally. The cooling and power demands are just too much. So what's the solution? Greenfield AI factories. These are entirely new environments that are highly optimized for GPUs, utilizing ultra-fast optical networking, and purposely built from the absolute ground up to handle the unique physics and economics of artificial intelligence.
And this brilliantly illustrates the stark choice that CIOs have to make today. As Dell's global CTO, John Rose, explains here, trying to retrofit an old legacy brownfield environment to run modern AI is incredibly difficult and honestly wildly inefficient. Instead, the big recommendation is to just bypass that old infrastructure entirely and build an AI factory. Getting a brand new parallel AI environment up and running from scratch is very often faster, much cheaper, and vastly more effective than trying to wedge these heavy AI workloads into an aging enterprise architecture.
Okay, so you might be wondering, when exactly does a company make that call? When do they pull the trigger, move their AI workloads off the public cloud, and build their own infrastructure? Well, the research points to a very specific financial tipping point, 60 to 70%. When your operational rental costs in the cloud reach 60 to 70% of what it would cost you to just buy the equivalent hardware and run it yourself on premises, the math flips. At that exact point, it becomes economically rational and practically necessary to bring those continuous high-volume inference workloads back in-house just to stop the bleeding.
All right, which brings us to our next section, the three-tier hybrid solution, focusing on optimizing your compute strategy for the AI era. We are officially moving way past that old binary debate of cloud versus on-premises. Let's look at how the smartest organizations are adopting a totally new architecture. So the crucial point is how you stop that financial bleeding by making these three tiers work perfectly together. First up, you have the cloud. You use it for its elasticity. It's absolutely perfect for variable training, wild experimentation, and sudden bursts in capacity needs. Second, you lean on on-premises computing for consistency. This is where you lock down the costs of that continuous production inference we talked about, keeping your budgets nice and predictable. And finally, you have the edge for zero latency immediacy, processing data right where it's being created, like on a factory floor or in robotics. It's all about making sure every single workload gets exactly the infrastructure it needs. But executing this strategy means embarking on what Deloitte calls the Great Rebuild, actually constructing these true AI factories. And let me tell you, it goes way beyond just buying a massive stack of GPUs. Building an AI factory requires a total holistic overhaul. You're going to need advanced data pipelines that can feed your models instantly. You need high-performance optical networking so those chips can actually talk to each other without creating huge bottlenecks. You need purpose-built algorithm libraries. And crucially, unified orchestration platforms that can seamlessly manage the whole shebang, these highly complex, multimodal workloads across your entire hybrid environment. Which really leaves us with the ultimate question that every single technology leader needs to ask themselves right now. Is your infrastructure actually built for the AI era, or are you still stuck in the cloud era? Because that gap, the gap between running endless AI experiments and actually achieving true, measurable enterprise impact, that is exactly where competitive advantage is going to be won or lost.
The organizations that are bold enough to step up and rebuild for the physics and the economics of continuous AI inference today, they are the ones who are going to define the next decade of business for sure. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Now it is definitely time to go take a hard look at your own architecture.